Hey there, Junior Explorers, Bubbly Brit here, and I have a question for you. Have you ever just stopped and really taken a minute to look around at the awesome world that we live in? Or have you ever wondered why the birds wake up so early in the morning? Wait, while we're still asleep, just to sing their beautiful songs? Have you ever stopped playing and just sat and looked up into the night sky to see, wow, there's so many stars up there. We can learn so much about how awesome our God is by taking a look at His creation. You know, the Bible says in Job chapter 12 that we should ask the animals and they'll teach us. So, Junior Explorers, this summer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to take a closer look at God's creation to see just how awesome He is.
I got my peanut butter sandwich here, but something's missing. I can't figure out what's missing. Hey, what are you doing? I'm making a sandwich, but something's missing and I can't figure it out.
Well, I can tell you what's missing.
What?
You can't have a peanut butter sandwich without jelly.
Oh, of course. Jelly.
Yes. There are just some things that go together naturally, like peanut butter and jelly.
Or like salt and pepper.
Oh, yeah, and day and night.
And birds and stomata.
And sweet and... What's a stomata?
Stomata are cells underneath the plant's leaves. We'll learn more about it this week.
Okay, well, tell you what. Why don't you make me a sandwich and I'll go grab the jelly.
Oh, thanks.
Have you ever taken time to stop and think about a plant and what it does? We may see them all over. Maybe your mom has some pretty ones in a pot outside, or you've seen some at the store. But let's take a closer look at God's creation, the plant. It may seem like something so simple, but you wouldn't believe all the awesome things God put into something so simple and small. One of the awesome things about them is that some plants have stomata that is mainly found on the leaves. They're so tiny that we can't even see them with our eyes. We have to use a microscope. The stomata are tiny openings that open up during the day to let the air in needed for photosynthesis, which is just the process that plants use to make their food. It opens up during the day and it closes up at night to rest until the next day. How awesome is that? You may look at a plant and think, it's not really doing anything, just sitting there looking pretty. But in fact, it's moving and working really hard. God made each plant to be able to take really good care of itself. Now that's pretty awesome.
With me. Do you remember our memory verse from last week? We sang it. Now say it with me. This is a day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118:24.
Did you know that plants talk to each other? Scientists have figured out that plants put chemicals in the soil through its roots. These chemicals let other plants around it know how they're doing. What do you think they say to each other? Have you ever gone outside when someone was mowing grass and you smelled that grassy smell? That's actually grass letting other plants know that they're stressed out. Did you know that each sunflower has 1,000 to 2,000 tiny individual flowers in it? If you didn't know before, now you do.
You are good. You are good. You are good, and your mercy is forever. You are good. You are good. You are good, and your mercy
Today, we have learned what stomata are. They are cells underneath the leaves of plants that open up during the day to make food and then close back up at night to get some good rest so that they are well rested and ready for another big day tomorrow. Well, did you know that stomata wake up to an alarm clock? I wonder what kind of alarm clock it could be. I wonder what it sounds like. Do you think it could sound like this? Or maybe this? I don't think so, do you? No, they don't wake up to an alarm clock like we do. This is their alarm clock. Do you hear it? Do you know what that is? Do you remember what we learned last week? It's the birds. We learned about the beautiful songs of worship that early in the morning the birds wake up and they begin to worship by singing awesome songs to God, their creator. Well, their songs also serve another purpose. They wake up the stomata on the underneath of the leaves and they say, hey, good morning. Good morning, stomata. It's time to wake up. It's time to start putting into motion and do what you were created to do. It's time to wake up and worship. So when those stomata open up, they're worshiping God. When those birds start to sing, they're letting those stomata know, hey, it's time to rise and shine. Did you hear any birds singing their worship to God this week? I did. Yeah, we should be like the birds and the stomata. They wake up and worship God, and it sets the entire day into the right motion. Well, when we wake up and when we worship God, it sets our day into the right motion as well. Now, how do you do that? How do you wake up and worship? Well, do you remember the song that we sang today? What did it say? It says, every day I'll what? I'll awaken my praise. That means every day, before I even set my feet on the ground, I can start to worship God. Now, you can worship God by singing a song. You can sing that song that we sang today, or maybe you have another song on your heart that you want to sing. So when you wake up and the first thing you do is worship God, you're putting your day into the right track, and that's headed right for God. We've learned so much about leaves today, and it is amazing the way that our God, the Creator, made all the wonderful things in nature. But another way that you can remember everything you've learned is to go on a nature walk. Make sure you take an adult with you. Go and find a leaf. This is an oak leaf. And then you go home, get you a piece of paper, and then get a colored pencil. I chose green. And what we're going to do is a leaf rubbing. Ready? All right, I have my leaf, my paper, and my pencil. So you take your leaf, put it underneath your paper, hold it down, take your pencil on the side, and begin to push and go back and forth sideways. And there is the leaf. And now you have something to remind you about the awesomeness of our God.
I can't believe I almost forgot the jelly. That would have been horrible if Joyous Julie hadn't reminded me to put it on my sandwich. My mouth would have been extra sticky. We've learned of how awesome God is. He created the plants to listen to the songs of the birds to wake up the morning. Don't forget like I did. See you next week.